What you're about to hear is a dramatized but true story from my time on patrol in a Southern California Metropolitan Police Department. The names, locations, and certain details have been changed to protect the privacy of those involved, but the events and emotions are all too real. This is the story of a man who couldn't bear the weight of his secrets and the family he left behind.
It was a Saturday afternoon in 2010. I had been assigned to a quieter part of the city when the call came through. Several residents in a high-end neighborhood were reporting a disturbance from a nearby house. I was in my first year on patrol, fresh out of training, and it wasn't the kind of area where you'd expect trouble. Wealthy, peaceful, just another routine day. But as soon as I heard the call, a feeling in my gut told me this day wasn't going to stay quiet for long. I parked across the street from the house. It was immaculate, towering doors, manicured lawns, the picture of affluence. But as I stepped out of my patrol car, what I saw was unusual. A teenage boy, maybe 17, was on his hands and knees in the grass, vomiting. His mother knelt beside him, her hand resting on his back, trying to comfort him. She was far too calm for what was happening, her face blank, drained of color. I called out, but neither of them responded, completely unaware of my presence as I stood just a few feet away. The front door was ajar, about 8 inches, just enough to let the unsettling groan seep out from inside. Something was very wrong in that house. I walked toward it, unsure of what awaited me on the other side. When I stepped inside, the sight stopped me cold. Hanging from a thick chain tied to the second-floor banister was a massive man, 6'7", 350 pounds, dangling lifelessly, the chain wrapped tightly around his neck. His feet hovered about 2 feet off the ground. Below him a chair lay on its side, tipped over as if he'd kicked it away in a final act. His toes hung just inches above the seat, which rested on its side, frozen in haunting stillness. His skin was pale, the life long drained from him. But it wasn't the hanging body that gave me pause. It was the young man beneath him, on his knees, pressing his father's cold, dead feet against his tear-streaked cheeks, weeping in deep, agonizing sorrow. His sobs filled the house, echoing off the walls as he grappled with the overwhelming reality of what he was seeing. I froze for a moment, absorbing the weight of what was in front of me. I stepped closer, checked for a pulse, though I already knew there wouldn't be one. The man was gone. His name was Jatinder Aziz, a father of 2, husband, and the man whose final act had just shattered his family's world. Just hours before, the family had left for a wedding. His wife told me he'd said he was not feeling well, said he wanted to stay home to rest. They never could have imagined what they'd walk into when they returned. At first, it seemed like the devastating end to a long struggle with depression. Jatinder had been battling financial issues for the past year. His wife later told us he'd been seeing doctors, taking medication. She thought he was getting better, but the truth was much darker. The investigation revealed that Jatinder had been caught up in a years-long insurance fraud scheme. He had been filing false claims under his father's name, diverting the money to maintain the very comfortable lifestyle he had provided for his family. The lavish home, luxury vacations, and expensive cars, it had all been built on deception. His wife believed he worked as a financial consultant, a respectable profession that explained their affluence, when in reality, the luxury they enjoyed was funded through fraud. The Department of Insurance had recently caught on. 2 months before, they had arrested him, and his court date was set for the following week. He was facing prison time, the loss of their home, and financial ruin. He hadn't told his family any of it. They had no idea how deep his troubles ran. Jatinder knew what was coming: prison, financial ruin, and the personal, perhaps even social shame that would follow. But what weighed heaviest on him was the thought of how his wife and children would see him once the truth came out. They had always looked up to him as a provider, a protector, the man who had given them a life of comfort and security. In their eyes, he was the epitome of success. But they were about to discover that it was all a lie, that the man they admired had created unnecessary hardships to avoid honest work and the less lavish lifestyle that would have come with it. Rather than face the collapse of the image he had built, Jatinder made the decision to end his life. In doing so, he left his family to deal with the fallout of his secrets, the mess he had been hiding for so long. He couldn't bear to tell them the truth, so he left them with the burden, and a future forever changed by the choices he made. I'll never forget the look in that young man's eyes, clutching his father's feet, praying for something that could never come back, and his mother, standing outside, her face stoic, fighting to keep herself together for her boys, while her entire life had just crumbled around her. In the end, it wasn't just Yatinder's financial debts that caught up with him, it was his lies, his secrets, and the unbearable weight of his guilt. He left behind more than just a body that day. He left behind a family broken by the truths he lacked the courage to face.
If you found the retelling of this first-hand account from the officer's life on patrol compelling, be sure to like and subscribe for more stories. These real-life experiences offer a unique glimpse into the challenges faced by those who serve, and there are many more to come.